The story of the First World War 1914 to 1918, the war that changed the world for everyone. A world full of tension in the early 20th century, the world seemed powerful and advanced, but beneath the surface, it was full of competition and fear. Europe was dominated by powerful empires. The British Empire, France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Russia, the Ottoman Empire. These nations were racing to build empires, grow their armies, control colonies, and become more powerful. They also created secret military alliances to protect themselves. The Triple Entente: France, Britain, Russia, the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Italy would later switch sides. The world was like a bomb waiting to explode. And in 1914, one small spark lit the fuse. 2. The spark: assassination in Sarajevo. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated in Sarajevo by Gavrilo Princip, a young Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and declared war. Russia supported Serbia. Germany supported Austria-Hungary. France and Britain supported Russia. Within weeks, almost all of Europe was at war. The First World War had begun. 3. The world joins in. Because these European powers had colonies and alliances across the globe, the war quickly became a global conflict. Battles broke out in Europe, France, Belgium, Eastern Europe, Africa, the Middle East, the seas and oceans, even parts of Asia. The two major sides were the Allies, Britain, France, Russia, later joined by Italy, the US, Japan, and others. The Central Powers: Germany, Austria, Hungary, Ottoman Empire, Bulgaria. 4. Life in the trenches. From 1915 on, the war became a trench war, especially on the Western Front in France and Belgium. Soldiers dug deep trenches to protect themselves from enemy fire. Life in the trenches was horrible: cold, wet, and muddy, full of rats and disease, constant threat of death from artillery, snipers, or poison gas. New, deadly technologies were used for the first time: machine guns, poison gas. Despite all this, most battles ended in stalemates, meaning huge losses of life, but very little movement. 5. The U.S. enters the war in 1917. The tide began to turn. Germany began attacking ships, including American ones with submarines. At the same time, they secretly encouraged Mexico to attack the U.S. via the Zimmerman telegram. This pushed the United States to enter the war on the side of the Allies. The U.S. brought fresh troops, new weapons, and energy. It was a turning point. 6. The war ends. In 1917, Russia left the war after the Bolshevik Revolution. But in 1918, with American help, the Allies launched powerful new offensives. Germany, exhausted, starving, and facing revolts at home, could no longer continue. On November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., an armistice ceasefire was signed. The guns finally fell silent. World War I was over. 7. The Treaty of Versailles. 1919. In 1919, the victors met in Versailles, France, to decide the future. The Treaty of Versailles placed full blame on Germany for the war. It forced Germany to pay huge reparations, reduce its army, give up territory, accept full responsibility. Many Germans felt humiliated by the treaty, a feeling that would later lead to World War II. 8. The cost of the war. World War I caused over 70 million soldiers mobilized, more than 20 million deaths, soldiers and civilians, millions wounded, including many left disabled or disfigured. The collapse of 4 major empires: German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Ottoman Empire, Russian Empire. The creation of new countries: Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, etc. The war also left deep emotional and psychological scars. Many who returned home suffered from what we now call PTSD. 9. Why it still matters. World War I was called the war to end all wars, but sadly, that wasn't true. The failure to build lasting peace led to another, even more destructive conflict in 1939. Still, WWI changed the world forever. It shifted the balance of power. It inspired movements for independence in colonies. It showed the horrors of industrial warfare. It led to revolutions, new ideologies, and major changes in global politics. Summary. Start July 28, 1914. End November 11, 1918. Cause: nationalism, alliances, militarism, imperialism, and the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And type: global war, trench warfare, modern weapons. Result: 20+ million dead. Map of the world redrawn. Roots of World War II planted.